Hey, shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome back. Hello, hello. Come on in. Come on in so we can begin, baby. Come on in. Oh, man. Shalom and welcome back to Reading with SHILO. This is the next session of Reading with SHILO. We're here to start off part 2 or part 2 of the book Mules and Men, chapter 1 of part 2, which is called Hoodoo. Mules and Men by Zora Neale Hurston. By Miss Zora Neale Hurston. Yeah, this one's going to be a short one, I think. A short one's only a couple pages. So we're going to go ahead and get it in and get it out of the way. One. It's only like 3 pages. So it shouldn't be long. But without further ado, man, everybody, when y'all come in, like, put a comment in the chat so I can know the chat works and what not. Grab your stuff. Bear with me. As we roll and scroll and take a stroll through the grammar of the ages. Grammar of the ages. From back in the day. Like, oh, I gotta get comfortable. Oh, Lord. All right. Part 2. Hoodoo. Hoodoo. Who do you do? I don't know what it means yet, but it's a butt naked lady. It's a butt naked lady on that thing. Like you got some lemonade by the bed, something. Part 2. Chapter 1 of part 2. Hoodoo. Winter passed, and caterpillars began to cross the road again. I had spent a year in gathering and culling over folk tales. I loved it, but I had to bear in mind that there was a limit to the money to be spent on the project, and as yet, I had done nothing about hoodoo. So I slept the night, and the next morning I headed my toenails towards Louisiana and New Orleans in particular. New Orleans is now and has ever been the hoodoo capital of America. Great names and rites that vie with those of Haiti in deeds that keep alive the powers of Africa. Hoodoo, or voodoo as pronounced by the whites, is burning with a flame in America, with all the intensity of suppressed religion. It has its thousands of secret adherents. It adapts itself like Christianity to its locale, reclaiming some of its borrowed characteristics to itself, such as fire worship as signified in the Christian church by the altar and the candles, and the belief in the power of water to sanctify as in baptism. Shalom, everybody, shalom. If you want to know what I'm talking about, I'm reading Mules and Men by Zora Neale Hurston, and we're on Hoodoo, chapter 1 of part 2, Hoodoo. Belief in magic is older than writing, so nobody knows how it started. The way we tell it, hoodoo started way back there before everything. 6 days of magic spells and mighty words, and the world with its elements above and below was made. And now, God is leaning back, taking a 7-day rest. When the 8th day comes around, he'll start to making new again. Man wasn't made until around 5:30 on the 6th day. So he can't know how anything was done. Kingdoms crushed and crumbled, whilst man went gazing up into the sky and down into the hollows of the earth, trying to catch God working with his hand so he could find out his secrets and learn how to accomplish and do. But no man yet has seen God's hand, nor yet his fingernails. All they could know was that God was everything to pass and perish except stones. God made stones for memory. He builds a mountain himself when he wants things not forgotten. Then his voice is heard in rumbling judgment. Moses was the first man who ever learned God's power compelling words, and it took him 40 years to learn 10 words. So he made 10 plagues and 10 commandments, but God gave him his rod for a present, and he showed him the back parts of his glory. And then too, Moses could walk out of the sight of man, but Moses never would have stood before the burning bush if he had not married Jethro's daughter. Jethro was a great hoodoo man. How you doing, everybody? Jethro was a great hoodoo man. Jethro could tell Moses could carry power as soon as he saw him. In fact, he felt him coming. Therefore, he took Moses and crowned him and taught him. So Moses passed on by Jethro with his rod. He lifted it up and tore a nation out of Pharaoh's side, and Pharaoh couldn't help himself. Moses talked with the snake that lives in a hole right under God's footrest. Moses had fire in his head and a cloud in his mouth. The snake had told him God's making words, the words of doing and the words of obedience. Many a man thinks he is making something when he's only changing things around. But God lets Moses make. And then Moses had so much power, he made the 8-winged angels split open the mountain to bury him in and shut up the hole behind him. And ever since the days of Moses, kings have been toting rods for a sign of power. But it's mostly sham polish because no king has ever had the power of even one of Moses's 10 words. But Moses made a nation and a book. 1,000 million leaves of ordinary men's writings couldn't tell what Moses said. Then, when the moon had dragged 1,000 tides behind her, Solomon was a man. So Sheba, from her country, where she was, felt him carrying power, and therefore she came to talk with Solomon and hear him. The queen of Sheba was an Ethiopian, just like Jethro, with the power unequal to man. She didn't have to deny herself to give gold to Solomon. She had gold-making words, but she was thirsty. And the country where she lived was dry to her mouth. So she listened to her talking ring and went to see Solomon. I wonder where I can find this at. If that is a story about the queen of Sheba and her talking ring. I wonder if that is. I wonder if it's in the Cable Nagas. I might have to get that. So he wrote down the ring talking books. That's what the old ones said in ancient times, and we walked and we talked it again. It was way back there. The old folks told it. The raw head and bloody bones had reached down and laid hold of a taproot that points to the center of the world. And they talked about High Walker too. But they talked in people's language, and nobody knew them but the old folks. Nobody knows for sure how many thousands of Americans are warned by the fire of hoodoo, because the worship is bound in secrecy, and it is not the accepted theology of the nation, and so believers conceal their faith. Brother from sister, husband from wife. Nobody can say where it begins or ends. Mouths don't empty themselves unless the ears are sympathetic and knowing. And that is why these hoodoo ritualistic orgies of Broadway and popular fictions are so laughable. The profound silence of the initiated remains what it is. Hoodoo is not drum beating and dancing. There is no moon worshipers among the Negroes in America. I was once talking to Miss Rachel Silas of Sanford, Florida. So I asked her about where I could find a good hoodoo doctor. Do you believe in that old Fogiism, child? I don't see how nobody could do none of that work. Do you? She laughed unnecessarily. I've been hearing that about that mess ever since I've been big enough to know myself. But shucks, I don't believe nobody can do me no harm less than they get something in my mouth. Don't fool yourself, I answered with assurance. People can do these things to you. I done seen things happen. Well, sure enough. Well. Maybe things can be done to you, harm you, cause I done heard good folks that ought to know, say that it sure is a fact. And anyhow, I figure it pays not to be careful. Oh yeah, Miss Rachel, I've seen a woman full of scorpions. And oh, it can be done, honey. No ifs and ands about that thing. There's things that can be done. I seen them. A woman with a gopher in her belly. You could see him moving round in her. And once every day, he turned himself clear over, and then he could hear her hollering for more mile. That hard shell would be cutting her insides. Way after a while, she took down ill sick from it and died. I know the man that done that trick. That was done in a dish of hopping john. Miss Viney White, a neighbor, was sitting there, so she spoke. I knowed into that myself. It was done over her brick. It was done over her breaking the leg of one of his hens that was scratching up her garden. When she took down sick, I went to see her, and I told her folks right then that somebody had done thrown it at her, but they didn't believe in nothing. Went and got a medical doctor, and they couldn't do them kind of cases no good at all. Facts is, it makes it worse. She stopped short and nodded her head apprehensively towards the window. Rachel nodded her head knowingly. She out there now, trying to eavesdrop. Who's you talking about, I asked. The one that does all the underhand work around here. She even throwed it at me once, but she couldn't do nothing. I totes my Big John the Conqueror with me, and I sprinkles mustard seed around my door every night before I goes to bed. Yeah, and another thing, Miss Rachel said, I keeps her off of me too. She tries to come in this yard so she can put something down for me too. But yeah, Lord, I got something buried at that gate that she can't cross. She done been down several times, but she can't cross. I get her to go if I was you, Rachel. Miss Viney said. Shit, what's up? Shalom. Wished I'd know how. I sure do it. You throw salt behind her. Every time she go out of her gate, don't do that 9 times, and I bet she'll move so fast she won't even know where she's going. Somebody salted a woman over in Georgetown, and she done moved so much, she done wore out her furniture on the moving wagon. But look at here, Zora. What you want with a 2-headed doctor is somebody done throwed an old shoe at you. Not exactly, neither one, Miss Viney. Just want to learn how to do things myself. Well, honey, I wouldn't mess with it if I was you. That's a thing that's got to be handled just so. Don't it kill you? Me and Rachel both know somebody that could teach you if they will. This woman ain't like some of these hoodoo doctors. She doesn't do nothing but good. You can't pay her to be rotting people's teeth out and filling folks with snakes and lizards and spiders and things like that. So I went to study with Eulalie. That's how I'm gonna pronounce it. Eulalie. Who specialize in man and woman cases. Every day somebody came to get Eulalie to tie them up with some man or woman or to loose them from love. Eulalie was an average sized, with very dark skin and bushy eyebrows. Her house was squatting among the palmettos and the mossy scrub oaks, and nothing pretty in the house nor outside. No paint on the floors, and one day a woman came to get tied to a man. Who is this man? Eulalie wanted to know. Jerry Moore, the woman told her. He want me, and I know it. But that woman, she got roots buried, and he can't get shit of her. Do we would, man, this shit, man. Do we would have done been married? The way people talk back in them days, man. The way people talk. Do we would have been married? Eulalie still sat still and thought a while. Then she said, course I'm a Christian woman and don't believe in parting no husband and wife. But since she done work roots on him to hold him, where he don't want to be, it tain't no sin for me to loose him where they live at. Down Young's quarters, the third house from the inn. Do she ever go off from home and stays a good while during the time he ain't there neither? Oh, yes, ma'am. She all the time away from that house, off fan-footing while whilst he working like a dog. It's a shame. Well, let me know the next time she's off and I'll fix everything like you want it. Put that money back in your purse. I don't want a thing till the work is done. And 2 or 3 days later, her client was back with the news that the overplus wife was gone fishing. Eulalie sent her away and put on her shoes. Get that salt bowl and a lemon, she said to me. Now write Jerry's name and his wife's 9 times on a piece of paper and cut a little hole in the stem end of that lemon and pour some of that gunpowder in the hole and roll the paper tight and shove it inside the lemon. Wrap the lemon and the bowl of salt up and let's go. In Jerry Moore's yard, Eulalie looked all around and looked up at the sun a great deal, then pointed out a spot. Dig a little hole right here and bury the lemon. It's got to be buried with the bloom down, and it's got to be where the setting sun will shine on it. So I buried the lemon, and Eulalie walked around to the kitchen door. And by the time I had the lemon buried, the door was open and we went inside. So she looked all about and found some red pepper. Lift that stove lid for me, she ordered, and I did. She threw some of the pepper into the stove, and we went on into another room, which was the bedroom and living room all in one. Then Eulalie took the bowl, and went from the corner to the corner, salting the room. She tossed a sprinkle into the corner and say, just fuss and fuss till you part and go away. Under the bed was sprinkled also. It was all over in a minute or two. And then we went out and shut the kitchen door and hurried away. And Saturday night, Eulalie got her pay. And the next day, she set the ceremony to bring about the marriage. Ooh, these women be up to something. And that was chapter 1. That was chapter 1 of part 2, Hoodoo. Let me see how long. Yeah, that was chapter 1. Chapter 1 is pretty short. Chapter 2 is longer. Chapter 3 is short. 4 is pretty short. 5 is short. Okay, I might come back and read shit. Since 1 was so short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pages. Chapter 2 of part 2 is 7 pages. I think I'll stop there for right now. I'm going to stop there for right now. I might come back later. I got a haircut to do this morning. I'll wait till after my haircut gets here so that way I can cut on time. And after my haircut is done, you know, I might come back and do chapter 2 because it's still early. It's still early, and why not get chapter 2 out the way? You see, I rather read. I like how the beginning of chapter 1 started. It really was just. It wasn't a back and forth. It wasn't a back and forth communication. I can read those better. The back and forth where you have to have, enthusiasm and punctuations on certain things, and it has to be read a certain way. At least in my thoughts, it has to be read a certain way. That's what makes it harder when the back and forth comes into play. It's just something I have to learn how to deal with. Something I have to learn how to get over and maneuver around. Hey, but that's all part of reading. That's all part of practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. But we'll keep pushing. I'm going to leave it at that for right now. That was chapter 1. Chapter 1 of part 2, Hoodoo in Mules and Men by Mrs. Zora Neale Hurston. Mules and Men. And we'll keep pushing. One book at a time, one session at a time, one section at a time, one chapter at a time, one paragraph at a time, one page at a time. Here a little, there a little, till we find something that we can learn and grow from, hopefully, and keep pushing. And then do our part in ending the world too by reading. Since I was told the other day that, the world gonna end since colors is reading. So I'm gonna keep doing my part. Destroyer of worlds I am. But yeah, man, that's it, man. I hope y'all have a wonderful day wherever y'all at in the earth. Wherever y'all at on this rock that the Most High has planted, for us to be on. Hope that y'all have a wonderful day. I'm out, you, man. It's SHILO. Till next time, man. I'm out. I'm out, you.